Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have a bunch of results over the past couple of weeks. I've been away from Vanguard playing Pokemon. So here I am back on the cam and time to talk about essentially what the end of the BSF season is like and pretty much looking forward to what the format will be like for the BCS season, because obviously at the moment Japan is in a format where we will have all the sets, nearly all the sets, set 4 and then obviously set 5 of BCS. So pretty much the results that we see from the Japan side is what you will be expecting at your regionals. So going through the two events that we're going to cover today, so it's Chiho Cup Season 2 in Takasaki, as well as the Springfest event in London, I think it was, the one that got Omega delayed. But yeah, let's start off with the JP side. So a lot of the decks are still Shoujo Doji. It is still the best deck. Shoujo Doji is releasing in global this Friday, so you know, if you are a meta slave like I am, pick it up, make sure you play it. I'll probably release a video on it just to kind of explain what the deck actually does, and then pretty much all the other decks is like Blackmire. Impauldio is actually a pretty interesting one, but I'll speak about that in just a sec. Shiranui, Michu, Varga, and pretty much like a bunch of other like good stuff, right? I think the format at the moment is Doji plus pretty much everything else. If Doji gets tapped a little bit, the power level just immediately drops, right? Shiranui was one of the big contenders in the past, and then obviously Shoujo Doji took its spotlight, and yeah, it's still a Dragon Empire, you know, Metafest at the moment, right? Then looking at the top 4 teams, so the first team brought Impauldio, Shiranui, and Shoujo Doji. Second brought Michu, Kairi, and Shoujo Doji. Third brought a pretty obscure lineup. So that's Vietnamese Bruce or Vietnamese Bruce, Dayusha, and Black. So this is like the alternate for Wellstra. And then the fourth team brought a full lyrical team with Chris Rain, Kairi, and Absolute Zero. Zero, right? Absolute Zero. So yeah, all I know is that she's pretty much like the standard Honolulu, right? So looking at some of the deck lists, more so the ones that are a little bit outstanding. So the first one is Impauldio, and I guess an explanation on why this deck is actually good at the moment is that it's actually a really good counter. Well, not really a counter, but it makes Shoujo Doji have to work for it to win. And why is that? Is because essentially each damage you take, Impauldio gains +5, right? So if Shoujo Doji on the first turn just like hits like a wet noodle, it can get over you know, an 18k body, a 23k body. If you hit a defensive, it's a 28k base, which is actually fat, right? You hit 28k base, you know, in the mid game on the Persona Ride turn, it makes it so that guarding is a lot easier, so meaning that each attack will be like, you know, 5k guard, 15k guard, 1 card guards, right? Which makes life a little bit easier for you, right? Obviously pair that with the Brandgate OT. If you hit that, you're winning. You play 4 of the Impauldio support, which essentially gets drive. So you're pretty much 2 drive. And then Impauldio obviously gets its 4 drives. So quad drive, twin drive on the rear guard as well. And then pretty much playing a bunch of cyclers, right? So yeah, Impauldio, I think it's a deck that everyone should be looking out for going into this next format. And obviously with the release of Liel, the Dark States one, I think that deck is pretty bonkers, but we'll see how that kind of evolves, right? So that's Impauldio. Then looking at Vietnamese Bruce. So Vietnamese Bruce, I think this is a diversity cut inclusion, so to say, or an outlier from diversity cut, but not to say that, you know, we can't discredit any, you know, wins or losses this player may have, but yeah, pretty much got this PR, and this PR essentially extends attacks, and yeah, it's just really good, right? Being able to jump from 5 to potentially 6, 7 attacks is actually a lot, right? Especially if you look at like decks like Shiranui, Shoujo Doji, like that's what you want. And you know, Vietnamese Bruce has been in the shadow for so long. Like, it was so good with original Bruce going into grade 4 Bruce, and then when Vietnamese Bruce came out, it pretty much like was non-existent, right? So yeah, very cool to see this deck. Yeah, hopefully it gets a little bit more tops. I'm not quite a Bruce fan, I've never been, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see this deck still around, right? This next deck is cool though. It's Black. So Black is pretty much the product alternative to Wellstra. people say that this is a deck that may overcast Welstra, and it pretty much works just like Welstra does. Pretty much this card is Omega Broken, like in a product deck, allows you to just, you pretty much have everything in the one card that Welstra was missing for the longest time, right? And then black essentially is a restander, right? Being able to restand is really strong. Combo that with, you know, being able to bounce fortresses, neg power, very, very strong deck. I think this deck, if it ever comes in English, I think there's a lot of representation of this, and I think it's a pretty cool deck. I would play it. I would personally play it. So yeah, black, very, very cool deck. Then jumping to the western side, so we had France, the last Springfest, which got delayed, I think twice or something, or once, or because of some election or something. But yeah, you know, finally done. This is the end of the Springfest season. So first place brought Leonor and Kairi Messiah. Second brought Prism, Eva and Shunui. Third brought Shunui, Rezael and Lascaria. And then fourth place bringing Shunui, Jet, Eva. Pretty normal decks. I think this is the first one where we see Messiah. So 3-7 QTJ. Yeah. For some reason, this didn't load. Interesting. Anyways, looking at the Messiah list, this list essentially plays the dual nation. So this guy, this Keta thing, makes the early game for Messiah really strong, and then obviously translating into a really strong stride game, being able to attack 4 to 5 times on your Amnesty and your Exilix. So being able to cover bases on the early game allows for this deck to thrive a bit more, especially competing against the likes of, you know, Shunui, Eva, which essentially have like 18-20k attacks in the early game. Being able to match up with that is very, very good, right? So that's Messiah. Then tri-format, there's actually 4 teams. The fourth graphic was because there was no information at the moment for that team, but we have it anyways. So first place was Gurgit, Shunui, and Chronojet. Very cool. Second was Anj, Shunui, and Katrina. Third was Anj, Eva, Katrina. And then fourth was Gurgit, Rezael, and Musketeer. I would like to see what the Musketeer deck looks like, but looking at Chronojet, so this was piloted by Dave Vac, one of the previous world champions. Very, very, how should I say, sophisticated with Gear Chronicle, pretty much a master at GC. So essentially this deck plays just normal Jet, playing Crest with Mazer Gear, and then you're essentially playing 4 of this guy. Pretty much if you're playing Crest, you're playing 4 of this to be able to get the ride consistency, well, maximize the ride consistency. You ride up to Jet, Jet into Lost Age, double Force Marker, and then you pretty much wombo combo with your Schlishmar. You still have options going into like, what's it called? Next Stage, which is still an option. And then essentially you're time leaping, right? Your grade 2 essentially time leaps, and then you play like a bunch of like weird one-offs. So this guy from the like tutorial deck allows you to attack CB1 draw and +5, so 18 will be 38 on a stacked force circle. Bali is also good, you know, it's a 23k attacker, 43k on a double force. And then you're playing like one-offs to be able to, I guess, tutor out at any point in the game. But this one's weird because this has to be played from hand. So I'm not sure what the implications of this is. Maybe it's just an early game piece, you know, which is quite cool. Nabu's still good. And you're playing essentially on-place removals, which is, you know, to get rid of Honolys, right? Floating Honolly is really annoying. You still have Melum TikTok, pretty much the time leak engine. And you pretty much have a better History Maker, so to say. But I guess History Maker doesn't need to be boosted, whereas this one does. But again, ride consistency, being able to slot in slots to cover the bases for History Maker makes this essentially the new part of the quote-quote Elite Four. Trigger-wise, you know, maximum crits, Dark OT. I think Dark OT is a pretty good OT in premium, just overall. Being able to heal from like, you know, 3 to 2 or 4 to 3 is like pretty impactful in premium, especially if like, you know, you're playing against super aggro decks like Katrina. That pretty much saves you like 50k worth of guard. So I think this being an active 5th heal is like really, really strong. right? Whether you hit it defensively or offensively. Otherwise, yeah, the strat, the G deck is pretty much the same, nothing too crazy, pretty much your super standard for GC. So that's pretty much all the decks we have for this week. Sorry I've been away for so long. I will start making content coming up with the new standard set, so you know, Shoujo Doji. I would like to cover Sacrifice Glass. I think that deck is pretty gas. Maybe Lucia if I find the need to release a deck profile, but you know, if there's anything that is new that you guys would like to see, let me know down in the comments. I would like to kind of go through stuff that you guys want to see, and if it's maybe not deck profiles, not tournament results, if there's any topic that you guys want to see, just let me know down in the comments, so you know, I have a list of suggestions to make videos on. Cool. So if you guys like this video, pop a like, comment down below what you guys think of all the results over the weekends. If you guys haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.